Hello and welcome to the Martial Perspective. Today we have Master Scott DaDante. He is the director of the Cleveland Martial Arts Hall of Fame seminar series, and he is the owner of Phoenix Academy, located at 2849 Phoenix or Vermont Avenue in Perry, Ohio. Which that's not really far from me. I work up in Ashtabula, sir.
Oh, wow. Okay. We're
So
neighbors then, pretty much, huh?
yeah, county to county. So
Yeah.
so
So
you
what do
are
you
a
do?
Kenpo guy by trade, correct, sir?
I am. I originally started up in Taekwondo. That's got my first black belt in. After I was doing that, I was a real young age, and I started wanting to venture already into other things. I already seen other things that were on the horizon, and I ended up in the Kenpo. And that was even though that Taekwondo is my first system, and I hold it dear to my heart. There was a lot that we learned in there. I look at more of Kenpo as my root system or my base system all the way through on that. It definitely learning Kenpo also enhanced me. I know my friends in Taekwondo might disagree with me, but it definitely enhanced my Taekwondo abilities tremendously by picking up on that as well. So
Well, I
yeah,
initially got into Taekwondo because as a police officer, I never want to go to the ground. That's the most dangerous spot you could be on as a police officer. But I found that more often than not, you end up on the ground. So I started more judo type stuff. So I practiced Taekwondo and judo. Those are my fortes. So,
yeah. And my teacher, Master Muan Kim, was original. I know that you had just interviewed not too long ago about AJ Perry, and AJ Perry is also Master Muan, or the Kim brothers, I should say, all the way through. Um, but when I was learning with inside of that, one of the reasons I did that, I got started up when I was 10. So it was on my way home, and it was like a safe place that my mom could do that, allow me to be able to be there. So it was a great system for me, a real high self-discipline system. If you being a background in Taekwondo, you understand about how it is. Just practice really, really pushing in and working on those basics to get somewhere. But also, too, my teacher was very well known, Master Muan Kim, in judo, and that was my first introduction as well to that as well. So
oh, wow.
very important, a very important system because that's exactly what it is, especially you working in law enforcement and all the people that I've taught in law enforcement, how many times that comes into the picture, understanding those different ranges, from that entering to that trapping and to what inevitably ends up into that grappling range. You better be pretty versed in all three of them if you're a serious martial artist, at least in my humble opinion. you know?
So
So
you kind of touched on your lineage, being Taekwondo. What would you say your lineage in Kempo is? Because I know I've got a lot of friends that are in Kempo, and I'm learning as I go. I didn't know that there was actually two American Kempos. You had the Ed Parker Kempo, and you got the Kelly Kempo, which
Tracy,
oh
that would be the
Tracy. I'm sorry. Forgive me.
And look, up in here in Cleveland, okay, there was a gentleman. Everyone in Kempo, I could say pretty confidently, has kind of filtered through like Mark Miller, those lineage guys, Bill DiCarlo, and stuff like that. But they were all Tracy's, and that's what was huge up here. When Parker decided to change over and move into this IKK, a lot of those old time Tracy's guys moved over with them. That was one with my teacher, Lee Bachman. That is my teacher. And But when I got into Kempo, it was still Tracy's. So that was my first black belt in Kempo was in Tracy's.
Okay.
And so I got my second black belt in the IKK. And since we're on the subject of Kempo, I'll just take you a little journey on that right there.
Please.
As I was getting older, I'm in my 20s now, and I'm really honing into this. This is like everything to me. And Mr. Parker passes away, and Jeff Speaking comes into town. He's promoting his new movie. How exciting that was for me. I get on out there, and he asked me to be his Zuki up there. So mind you, I'm 20 something years old. Getting on up there was something else. The sad thing about Kempo, though, at that in particular time is when Mr. Parker passed away, I kind of look at it the same kind of window as what Bruce Lee did. Imagine Bruce Lee's on up here. Bruce Lee dies, passes away, and then everyone's saying, I know the true system. That's exactly what it was for Kempo. And you had all these head guys who I have nothing but the highest respect because I have trained with Larry Tatum. But Larry Tatum opened his own organization. I've trained with Jeff Speakman. Jeff Speakman has his own organization. Joe Palazzo has his own organization. All these people have their own organizations, and they all kind of moved away from the IKKA because of their turmoil inside of there. And me being coming up of age and being already cross training and in so many different things, and My teacher at that time also too was working on establishing his own system of Kempo, which he had developed up. He had a whole series of videos out with Panther and a whole series of books that were out, and he called his system Infinity Kempo. And since I was cross training and I started seeing all these different people of everybody claiming to be the best, and what I'm thinking about it is that Ed Parker was this guy that created all this. There's that loyalty. I'm not saying that anybody was unloyal to Ed Parker, but everybody was jumping up on their own fame. This is the organization. This one's better than this. So imagine somebody that's coming on in. Imagine if I hadn't been into the system yet, coming on in. Where would you go? It's like all these doors are open. You don't know what to go on into.
Right.
And so to me, Temple is a philosophy. It's a theory. I always looked at Ed Parker as this mad scientist in his brain and how he dissected everything. That's why it became so much of a base for me, because it was a philosophy. And understanding that philosophy was real easy for me to be able to adapt that philosophy to almost any system that I went out to, you know? And, and once I completed in the Kempo, that wasn't the end for me. I kept on going. And
Mhm.
the great thing about that is that all the systems that I go into, there's a lot of similarities between a lot of stuff. Things that these are their hidden secrets from this system. They're shared across the board. It's all a matter of perspective, and it's all a matter of what teacher that you have, because things get lost in translation.
Mhm.
So just because it's not being taught in the school doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Right.
You know what I mean on that?
Yes, sir.
So yeah, that was a beautiful thing. So you kind of get more and more rooted. For me, not to try to change the subject or like that, but the more that I expand on out, the more that you become rooted in actually what you know and what you're actually doing. It's almost like educating yourself in a whole different perspective and outlook of something that you may have been stuck in because this is the way you were taught it. But then this system does it in a whole different perspective,
Mhm.
brings it to a whole different light, a whole new application, a whole new difference of sensitivity and application, of learning how to improvise with the energy that's going on in, instead of being locked into a set move or a set philosophy. So
So Ed Parker had the philosophy that Kempo was always evolving. So
exactly.
what he taught wasn't the end all be all, because it was always meant to evolve. Correct.
Absolutely. And that's another thing. I'm glad you brought that up, because everybody's saying the true Kempo. From my understanding, and I have to talk to some of my colleagues. I'll be talking to Sean Kelly pretty soon here. He's a real good historian on this too. That, from my understanding, for where we were, Ed was in a transitional state. He was already in a transitional state of updating the system when he passed away.
Yes.
So right, okay. So nobody understands where it could evolve to. And the way that I always looked at it, if you ever saw my teacher Lee Bachman, he's about, I'd say maybe about 5'6", and he's real. I don't want to say he's frail. He was a strong individual, but he was small. He reminded me of Billy Idol. First time I walked on in, I turns around and I'm like, and I'm like, whoa, who is this guy? And but when I say that to you is that if, like, take Lee Bachman, who's a different body structure than Ed Parker, if he tried to mimic Ed Parker, he would never succeed, because Ed Parker moves his own in particular way.
Mhm.
But since it's understandable to understand these philosophies and understand the dynamics of body mechanics and just the art of physics and everything else that go along and be able to put it in, he was able to adapt a system that was very, very useful for him and be able to mimic that same type of power in his own way, or his own type of flow, his own type of motion. Hopefully that makes sense to you and what I'm trying to say about
No,
that.
that's
Trying to chase down somebody else of your teacher. You can be inspired by your teacher. You can definitely look to try to mimic and try to be, but you also have to be yourself. You really do. You got to. How else are you going to be able to express yourself as a true martial artist if you don't untap what you were born with? You
right.
know, and
Well,
these are all
that's the
tools.
difference between Kempo and Taekwondo. Taekwondo is governed by the Kwans and it's governed by the Kukiwan. So any changes that are made in Taekwondo actually have to come from the Taekwondo headquarters in South Korea. So they govern what's going on, especially for the Olympics and things like that.
And speaking of the Olympics, Taekwondo has completely changed, and
Yes.
it's completely changed. It's not the system that I grew up with. I'm not saying anything negative about Taekwondo. I'm just glad I trained the time that I did, and I know that there are still some fantastic schools out there that practice Taekwondo in the way that I vision it in my head. The way
Right.
that because the bottom line is a lot of people have different kind of views on Taekwondo. But the truth of the truth of the thing is the way I look at it is if you have a true master, somebody that's really in tune with Taekwondo, okay, they're going to understand their zonings in a whole different, complete way. And meaning that for a Taekwondo, you get inside of a Taekwondo's inside of a guard. A lot of times, once you're inside of that, they will struggle on that kind of thing. They want to be at a certain distance, and that's it. If you're a fantastic Taekwondo, you maintain that distance no matter who's coming in on you, no matter what footwork is being presented to you. If you understand your footwork and you understand your philosophy and you're on your game, you're never going to let them get inside of you. But finding people like that, that's a hard one to get anymore, these days,
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. But there are a lot of them out there still, and thank God we have those kind of people because Taekwondo. I'd hate to see it be diluted and later on. It's a good system, and like I said, it was the system that got me started off. And I'll tell you, even still to this day in my teachings, we still use a lot of different Taekwondo philosophies and a lot of different Taekwondo routines because they work and they prepare people. So um, I definitely keep them incorporated in my philosophy as well.
Right. I mean, I've come to realize that Taekwondo, the old Kwans, Muda Kwan, Jita Kwan, Songwon Kwan, all those Kwans, they're slowly dying out because of World Taekwondo, because of Sport Taekwondo, because of the Kukiwon. When you got these old masters that are passing away and they're passing on their knowledge to these younger instructors and future masters and future grandmasters and everything, in order to be competitive and go to competitions, there's not a heck of a lot of competitions that are traditional, Tung Sudo tournaments or Song Kong tournaments and things like that. So I hate to see where Taekwondo. I think it's evolving, but I don't know that it's going to be the same thing 20 years from now.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully
Right.
I'll be around 20 years. Hopefully you and I can have this conversation in 20 years and we'll talk about it then.
I'd like that. I'd like that very much, sir. So, what was the biggest obstacle that you've had in your training over the years?
um,
Health, be it mental, be it financial. What's the biggest obstacle that you've incurred over the course of your training?
okay, so I started martial arts back in when I was 10. I'm 55 years old right now. Okay, so I'm moving into my um, 46 year of martial arts. So
Wow.
when you ask that question, every single one of those things have entered my life at some point. Okay, there's like again, I'm 55. I've had so many multiple chapters in my life. Right, each one of them very important. Each one of them may be a obstacle, maybe a victory, whatever it is. But there's all kinds of different things that go on, and so every one of those things definitely applied. Everything one of them. Here's something that I'm working on right now is that I've had a little bit of a couple hip injuries and my knee injuries, and I'm working through certain things on that right now. And thank goodness that I have such an expansive collection of martial arts that I study underneath because again, to me, martial arts a lot has to do with footwork. Footwork is your zoning. Footwork sets you up for everything. Talking about Taekwondo, without good footwork, a Taekwondo guy is never going to keep himself in a safe zone. But then also, I don't care if you're a Taekwondo guy, okay, or if you're practicing Filipino Kali, okay, or if you're doing even ninjutsu. Any of those systems of it, it's all footwork. Anything we got going on is going to be footwork. Excuse me for a minute there,
You're good.
and there we go. Good, we're back. So sorry
So,
about that delay.
so going back to obstacles, one of the biggest obstacles that people tell me a lot that they've overcome was the COVID-19 shutdown and everything, and technology, and how technology was a huge saving grace for a lot of these schools because they were able to video their classes and send them out to their students. Is this something that you incorporated?
Well, at the time, I had moved all my operations because I was doing so much work inside of the school systems. I was an active sensei inside of, and right one of them being Perry School right over here, and I was a site coordinator for them, and I was doing a lot of after school programming, kind of working with a lot of wellness with them, critical thinking and just mindful exercises along with them. But when I was there, I also had moved my whole business into their rec center. And if you know Perry, it's like unbelievable in there. I mean, we were teaching it out of their wrestling room, which their wrestling room alone was like 400 by 200 foot, completely matted, beautiful area. Okay. took away from my decor and the style that I had in my dojos. When you walked in, you were really kind of transformed from the outside world into this place. That was kind of taken away, but it was a blessing being inside those schools for a long time. It just kind of navigated right on the way that the history of the dojo was going. But leading right up to now, all of a sudden, COVID hits on up, everything shut down, especially if I'm teaching inside the schools.
Yeah.
Mind you, mind you, I'm training all over the place. I'm still cross training. I'm still training all over the place. I'm like a kid in a candy store. I can never get enough. But going back over to that, when that had to close down, I had no choice but to close. And all the years that I've been running the dojo, I'll be honest, I took a minute. I said, hey, okay, I'm going to take a breath right now. We'll jump back on in, just take a breath, see what's going on, concentrate on my training. And within I couldn't even tell you, it was like a matter of a week, phone starts ringing off the hood. Hey, can you please continue to keep regardless of what the health issues are and stuff? People, that's the martial arts right there.
A
It's
lot of people didn't care.
part of their life. It's a necessity. It's just as important as food or water or the breath that we do right now. I know that stands for me, you know. And so what I did is I have a building out in the back that I made into a small dojo. It's a beautiful little facility back there, and I started building up over there. And that's where this transformation from Northeast Kenpo Karate, which still exists, moved over into this new business that I started up, which is called the Phoenix Academy, which is about a year and a month in right now, and it's doing pretty fantastic. And the thing about the Phoenix Academy itself is that forgive me about that. The thing about the Phoenix Academy is that my training has gone so far above and beyond. I do training with Dana Abbott in sword fighting. He's the guy who makes the action flex and stuff like that. So I've got certification on him. So I do a lot of sword fighting as far as that goes. But I'm also training with Stephen Hayes in ninjutsu. I also train with Tony Martial in Kali. I got black sashes in that as well too. So I wanted to have an expansion. With that expansion on there, I couldn't seriously call it Northeast Kempo anymore because I have all these systems. Plus, I'm a Reiki master. I'm teaching Tai Chi. I'm teaching yoga. Because these are the things that have helped me out at 55 years old. To me, it's about mind, body, and spirit. I got into martial arts. What attracted me was that silver screen. I wanted to know how to fight. The reason I'm still in it 55 years later is because of that balance of that mind, that body, and spirit, because it is the martial arts that's got me through every tough time in my life. It's allowed me to really enjoy my personal victory. It's made me a better father. It's made me a better to my community, better person in my family. It's just made me better all the way around. And with that, I didn't want to stereotype it or pinch it to just this is the Kempo, even though Kempo's to my heart. So I developed up the Phoenix Academy because being 55, and I can go with this, doesn't matter about anybody's age. I want you to think about how many times that you have re-risen from life. I mean, how many times that you have rebirth all the way through? And it doesn't have to be, people think about that when they think about a phoenix. It's like you hit rock bottom and you rise from the ashes. How does it have to be that way? It doesn't have to be that way. You could have got a promotion. You could have gotten a huge test, changed your whole philosophy, and all of a sudden, boom, here's that phoenix rising, coming on up this whole new philosophy, this whole new you. And I love that idea. And with that being honest, it's always going to carry up to all throughout the rest of the time because we're always going to be rising up. And that's what I want everyone that's in a hole, like my aunt said long ago, Scotty, and soon this shall pass. She was never wrong, man. She was never wrong. So,
Well, it's safe to say that Hollywood and the silver screen has influenced you in martial arts in some way, shape, or form.
oh,
That's one question I ask a lot. How do you feel that Hollywood has influenced martial arts? And I tend to think that it played a huge part because there was a huge boom in the 60s and 70s, and you had all these martial arts masters coming over from overseas, coming to the United States to root in the United States and and spread their martial art.
yeah, right. And you really need to mention his one name, Bruce Lee, because Bruce Lee did it all. Okay. And and speaking of Bruce Lee, I just want to say I'm very grateful that I was around during that era. I was born in 1970, so I was a little boy when Bruce Lee hit it big. Okay. But his impact was huge. Even as a little boy, you couldn't help but recognize his presence and everything if you saw him.
Right.
thing I loved about Bruce Lee, though, and I'm so glad that I got into that because he was such an inspiration to me growing up. Another one was Stephen Hayes, seeing him on the Black Belt magazines. Oh my goodness. You want to talk about inspiration. Those were the two main guys. Of course, Chuck Norris, can't forget Chuck Norris because Chuck Norris made it feel believable to you. I can achieve this.
Oh,
He can,
absolutely.
I can do it, right? So I mean, he was like, I'm like Chuck Norris. I'm loving Bruce Lee. He's my total inspiration, But what I loved about Bruce Lee was as Bruce Lee came on the screen and he kicks O'Hara over those people, comes in with those glasses. You see that perfect form of that crossing rear kick, and you're like,
Right.
but Bruce Lee also had a sense of almost majestic to him. The way that he carried himself. It wasn't that he was cocky. He was just not going to be straight off of what his philosophy was. And that's it. He was a philosopher. So when he came on the screen, it wasn't about just him beating up everybody and showing off what his abilities was. To me, when Bruce Lee was on the screen, it really was, especially if we take a movie like Enter the Dragon, is this balance of that mind, body, and spirit.
Yep. So, in your styles of martial arts, how do you stay up to date with the latest techniques and developments of your specific martial arts?
I train, and what I do is I train. I network all the time with people, and I always train with the top people. If I'm going to be training with Kali, my teacher right now is Tony Martial. He's been with me for 30 years, but I train with so many different people in Kali. Say, okay, I know that like one, for instance, is Danny Inosato. Whenever I get an opportunity to train with Danny, I can. Guy's old. He's definitely getting up there in age, but tell you what, he's amazing. You're going to go see Superfoot Wallace. The guy's 80 years old. I've been doing Superfoot Wallace seminars since I've been in my early 20s. The guy's still doing the same technique that he did when I
I
was in
know.
my 20s, and he's still nailing the same people with the same technique, even though they know it coming.
I'm telling
How
you
can
what.
you
The
learn
last
from that?
seminar I went to,
Yeah,
he told me hold a pad on my shoulder, and he's like, "All right, I'm going to kick you." I'm like, "All right." He's 80 years
yeah.
old. This isn't going to be that bad. He kicked me and moved me about 4 feet.
Unbelievable, the guy.
I know.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
got his alignment right. He's still keeping it, and he's keeping things simple. He's not complicating simplicity. You
No.
know, he's just maintaining what he's had, and he keeps it right on the money. Keeps it right there. You know,
So you
good.
actually touched on my next question. Do you feel that networking is important for martial arts? And I've encountered masters that absolutely want nothing to do with seminars, want nothing to do with this or that. They feel that if you're going to pay money to go watch somebody, you should be able to pay them money to teach you what you want to know. So, what is your opinion and thoughts on networking in martial arts?
Well, I'll tell you what, I think we live in the world of 2026, okay? And we have so many spectacular martial artists that are out there. I would think that people would be foolish not to, if you're serious about martial artists and if this is something that's really big into you, I think you'd be foolish not to network with other martial artists and get to know other people and kind of compare with different things and talk to them and listen to their philosophies even if you never even hit the mat with them, just to have a talk with them and to get inside their brain and to listen to what they're seeing, how they see things. Um, you know, uh, just being open-minded that way. You hit in a seminar, say for instance, how many seminars have you hit? And you're just like the whole time, you're like, I'm not really getting anything out of this. This is, yeah, I never want to look at it as this is a waste of my money or a waste of my time or whatever. But then all of a sudden, one little simple thing is said, and it's like, whoa, and that little simple thing can change your whole philosophy and it makes it all worth it. It makes everything worth it. Maybe it's a technique, some approach on a technique, and you're like, I never thought of it that way, or I didn't feel that energy that way. So it can change things. And we're not living in a time anymore where my school's better than yours. We're in this troubled time anymore. Okay, a long time ago, I went to Rick McLean. This is in mid sometime. I would say maybe about 2005. And I approached him, and this is kind of like in a sense, it's kind of like the pre thing of the Cleveland Martial Arts Hall of Fame because we had put together, I had presented this thing of this World Martial Arts Association, and we were starting to build up some steam. And my whole goal is to join forces of all the martial arts around here to bring everybody home together. No one's fighting anymore. There is no, my school's better than yours. My dad can beat your dad's butt, but I never met your dad. Okay, whatever. We should be working together. We should be working together on a thing, because the bottom line is we want martial arts to be presented out into the world. They have so much relevance today. It is unreal. And I'm not even really sure, even though that the world seems to be a lot more violent, that this is exactly what we need the martial arts to be. This is part of the martial arts. You train in the martial arts, you're totally true to yourself and you train true. You're going to build up those factors. But there's other factors. Again, going back to that mind, body, and spirit, those three things, okay? They have to be in there all the way through. It can't just be a physical end on it anymore. So this is something that's important right now, is this philosophy that needs to be taught to teach a child today, more than anything, not how to handle the bully, but how to assess the situation, to think before they talk, to utilize critical thinking, and to have it in themselves to take their own dimmer switch and turn it down instead of the light switch that everybody's on, from hot to cold, hot to cold, hot to cold. This is very important. And this is a philosophy that really, I believe, needs to be set down not only to the younger generation, but to our generation. I don't care how old we are. We need to learn how to dial it back and become more critical thinkers than be hotheads emotionally.
Oh, I agree 100%. In fact, there's a book that I read, and I try to implement it at work as much as possible. It's called Verbal Judo.
I know the book. Okay.
I think if more of our younger generations read that book and apply the basics of that book to their everyday life, I think there would be a lot less conflict, and I think there'd be more conflict resolution in the world.
Yeah. Just taking the elements, the great five elements, the Godai. Okay. I love this idea of this. If you've heard this, it's been in every culture of earth, wind, water, fire, and void. You think about that. Okay. You being a police officer, how many times have you went into those, regardless if you even know you did or not, how you've handled situations? Sometimes when you're confronting someone, you have to be in an earth mode. You're grounded on what you do. And this is how it is. This is exactly how it's got to be. There's no other choice. This is the way it's going to be. Sometimes you're in a fire mode, and fire mode doesn't have to be necessarily more of aggressive. Fire mode is you see a situation, you know it's about to happen. Somebody's going to do something. You got to extinguish it immediately, real
Correct.
fast. But it doesn't have to just be physical, right?
No.
It could also be a verbal type of thing, also too, and how you handle all these elements could be verbal, right? Same thing when it comes down to wind. I've used wind so many times, especially when I was younger, and you're being around different people that may be drinking or whatever else like that. And you think about the wind. The wind is very present. We all know it. We've all felt it, but none of us can grab it. Just can't grab it. You just can't. So it moves around. It's got a freedom of being able to move around things. So listening to that, verbal judo, in a sense, if we took it just from that, something's coming on it, I'm just maneuvering right out of the way, just like a simple technique, except I'm doing it mentally, and it's protecting my spirit, protecting my train of thought, so I can keep on critical thinking and not getting triggered. Right?
Mhm.
Water, the same thing, of coming in and being able absorbing. Keto is a great system if we wanted to look at water kind of a thing. You could feel like a person's energy coming in and utilizing that energy back onto them. We can do that also verbally. And the last one is just simply void. And I love void because void is just the unknown. When you're with somebody who's real distraught or this and this, you could change their mind and throw them off just for a minute and take them away from wherever they're mentally were on this hell path destruction or whatever else like that. You can help to diffuse situations, right? And like teachers inside of schools, they use this void tactic all the time whenever they need, whether they understand or not. They have a whole class they got to keep together. Little Billy's getting a little bit out of hand. She uses a little reverse psychology, this kind of void type of thing. He gets back on and everybody's okay. So something like that. So
That's fair. So, what do you find most rewarding about being a school owner, teacher, mentor, as far as martial arts is concerned?
living my true purpose. We're born for a reason on this earth. Every time that you take a breath and I take a breath, it's completely proof that we have purpose on this world. There's no doubt about it. And I've had a lot of different careers that I've jumped through as I was getting older. Working in the trades or doing this and stuff like that. Everything always came back to the martial arts. Everything always came back to this, and not necessarily about being a school owner necessarily, but just that in my mind that I'm a martial artist is number one, and everything kind of works off of that. Okay, whether I'm running a school or I'm running a school for someone else, or I'm running a program for this or I'm running a program for that. Um, and it's that freedom of that truth of myself. I think it is really of knowing who I am and what my purpose is, and seeing the reward, and not by necessarily praise. Okay, I'll tell you this. I'm right now currently I've been doing a lot of fitness work, a lot for a lot of senior centers right now.
Right.
Okay, and my classes are growing. I'm real proud about that. Nothing but great things. This is right here the best thank you that I could ever get. It isn't, hey Scott, I just want to tell you your classes are rocking, you're the best, but I don't care about that. What I care is when that student walks up to me and says, "Hey Scott, check this out," and I'm like, my goodness, they couldn't do that. They couldn't do that. You understand that? They couldn't squat. They couldn't touch their toes. They couldn't do it without being exhausted and being in pain. And, being a teacher and helping to guide people to find, their peace of mind, their calm, their personal spirit, and let's use the ultimate word for me is their balance. Okay. To try to find that balance for them. That's the most biggest reward in the world. The truth of the matter, if I wanted to be a rich man, I would have picked a different profession, my friend. Okay.
Yeah.
But the rewards, because the martial arts have been really good for me. I've had some really good financially great times, many, many years. There has been some times where it's went down. It's just the way of the nature of the business. But it's just been so rewarding above and beyond that on what we do as a teacher, as what we do as teachers, because anybody, even in just working in any kind of a service type of a business, that's what we do. Is we're called to that calling, and I'm just glad that I got called into the martial arts as my form of service because it's been such a rewarding experience for me on that way as well. I mean, just warming the heart and just keeping the purpose going all the way through, and inspiring me to keep on continuing, knowing that I'm doing the right thing even after 40 something years. I'm still doing the right path, and like I told you before, I'm still a kid in a candy store, so there's so much more out there for me. I can't wait,
Absolutely.
bro. I can't wait.
So we got the Cleveland Martial Arts Hall of Fame weekend coming up, which is April 10th and 11th. Can you tell me a little bit about the how the idea? Were you involved in that from the very beginning?
Well, I wasn't when Don and Rick went ahead and started this up. I wasn't with them on that, but it wasn't too long after that I got involved on it and stuff like that. And it wasn't too long after that that I started putting my feet, getting my feet grounded on in there, and still start to help the organization the way that the way that we needed to be moving forward. And we're moving really good on this right now. I'm real excited about this 10th year. I know you're coming.
Yes,
That's
sir.
good, right? You're going to enjoy yourself very much. And anybody else that's out there, you got to come down. Prices are down for everybody, so there's no going to be any problem as far as affordability. And it's just going to be a day that is going to be remembered. And I hope everyone's there to celebrate this very day. I put together such a great schedule of seminar presenters. There's something for everyone. Okay, something for everyone. We're not pigeon down in just one type of martial arts. There's all kinds, and every single one are top notch people that are coming in for everyone that wants to participate. I cannot, I'm just really excited for everybody this year when it comes down to those seminar presenters this year. When you do come down to the seminar, though, if you come on in Friday night, we're having a little gathering. One of our members is Todd Meany from Channel 8 News. He runs his band over there called Ace Moeller. So we had a get together last year where everybody kind of just got down there, and we just had some fun. Music was playing. If you wanted to get up to dance and get some food or whatever, everyone just kind of came in the town. It was a nice little gathering. This is open for everybody. Everybody can kind of come right down there and do that. So that's going to be a real nice way to get this party kick started on off. And just getting everybody's spirit on up. And hopefully nobody parties too hard because tomorrow's going to be training day all the way through. Okay. So going right in. I don't drink or anything, so I'm safe.
I'm safe in that aspect as well. So what can we expect on Saturday?
That's what I'm getting to right now, my friend. Okay, when you come on in, we got a whole day starting from 8 o'clock in the morning all the way down to right down to 4 o'clock. Our doors are opening up at 8 o'clock in the morning. At 8:30, I have two special presenters coming on in, and they're going to warm up the whole crew. We have three different rooms. One is more of a private room that will be open later in the day, but we have room A and room B. And there's going to be a kind of a variety of different flow that's going on down there. So when you come on in, you got this beautiful warm up with these people, and then your first class kicks in at 9 o'clock. And on the hour, there's a brand new class going on in. Okay. There is no going to be any lunch break on this. You take your lunch whenever you want to. We're here to train. Okay. And that's what we want to do. So you need to take a break. You need to do this. You do it by all means because we want you back on in. But we got a whole day listed on down, and we have some great presenters that'll be on there. And I'll post it or tag it right onto this so people can go right to it after, if that's okay with you as well.
Sounds
So
perfect. I'm really
absolutely, yeah.
excited for this event.
Direct people that way anyway. This way they know where they can get their tickets and they can get everything done. And they can also plan it out. Speaking about Saturday, I got these two lines that are going down. There's such a variety that's going down. When you come in, you get to pick and tailor how your training day is going to go.
Wow.
Maybe you're in room day on the first part of the day and you want to go over to this guy. You've been waiting for this one. It might be a zigzag all the way across the board. You might be all the way down. It just depends on you. But you have that freedom to kind of just explore. You're not stuck anywhere. There's going to be vendors down there. I've got all kinds of great vendors down there for supplies, healing arts. I got Richard Gamboa that's coming on down there. He's this real top kung fu gentleman, really talented. He's going to be on the bill also too. But he also has these herbal healings that he does. So there's going to be stuff like that even down there, and even questions answered. Photo ops all over the place. If you want to get some pictures with some of your people, or you never go, or if you ever just get opportunities to talk to them. For younger people, older people, some of them may be an idol of yours, like where you're going for Super Wallace. I remember probably the first time you went, you were a little starstruck. You were so excited to meet him. I'm sure.
Yes.
I'm hoping it was right. Yeah, it's the way it should be. I mean, this Saturday, even though you met him, I guarantee you're gonna be like, oh, it's the way it is. This is the way it is. It's the way it
I'm very
should be.
excited.
I wanted to offer that to people too, because I want the younger generation to be inspired the same way that I was, and I know we don't have like major martial arts on the screen here today, but we have some fantastic martial arts level local that are here to help everyone to achieve their goals, right? Martial arts should be about dedicated to your achievements, dedicated to my students' achievements. And even if that means dedicating his achievements outside of my own school, I'm going to do everything I can to put him in the right proper path for his personal excellence, because it's his journey. It's not mine. It's hers. It's his, right? Or hers, right? Just like this is about me. I'm not doing what I do in the dojo because I need to impress this school over here. And nothing disrespect towards any schools. This is my journey. These are my students. This is my love, and this is what I'm gonna follow. It's my intuition. It tells me where I need to go.
That's
So cool.
awesome, sir.
Yeah, man.
So, wrapping this up, is there anything you'd like to add, sir?
Hey, listen, we hope we see you down at the Cleveland Martial Arts Hall of Fame. I'm telling you right now, as soon as I throw this on up here and you get an opportunity to see and you see all that's going to be offered to you, it would be one of the best things for you to do down there, to get on down there. I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to regret anything at all. You're going to be so happy that you came on down. And you're going to meet so many great people. And I hope to meet you. I hope to meet you. So get on down to that Cleveland Martial Arts Hall of Fame. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me directly, or feel free to reach out on some of the things that I'll be posting on down there to answer any questions. We're here to help you, guide you on your journey. School owners, we got totally great deals for you. We want your school in there. We want to celebrate with everyone. We've been in this together for a long time, especially school owners. We've known each other for a long time. Let's make this a celebration of life. If anything, we need that camaraderie all the way through. It doesn't matter about what discipline you're in. It just matters about your heart and your integrity as a martial artist. And that's what it comes down. Respect to everyone on that. Okay. Thank you very much, John, for your time. Please go ahead.
I hope this isn't going to be the last time we talk, because I don't feel 40 minutes is enough to cover everything. And each of my martial arts guests, I'd love to have on maybe next year, and see where they're at, and how they've evolved and things like that, because we're always evolving. So I hope this isn't the last time that we see you. And if you're watching this, please like, subscribe, and share so we can spread the message, and everybody can meet these wonderful martial artists.
And one more point real fast, since I got your customers on, if you don't mind me saying the same thing. When you see the thing underneath the bottom and you see, the Cleveland Martial Arts Hall of Fame, and you see Phoenix Academy or whatever, please go ahead, like those as well too. There's all kinds of information that's being set up for you. You want to know about techniques, you want to see certain types of thing. There's so much that's on the board that's coming up for 2026. Right now, my whole focus is making this the best time we could ever have. And I guarantee you that's exactly what I'm going to give you. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. Yep.
Thank you,
Hey,
sir.
now aloha to you, my friend.
Aloha.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye.